Hey, everybody. We are back. It's been a while. Shasta and I have been traveling for the majority of the last month and a half. So we're super excited to be back with everybody. I am Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And we are the Chicks in Charge. And today we have with us Don Brady from ShipYourCarNow. So we'll go ahead and welcome him on right now.
Hey, Don.
Hey, Don. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jess. Hi, Shasta. How you guys doing?
We're so good.
So good. We had a great weekend. We are ready for Thursday to fill our bellies. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got to say, this is an honor to be invited on Chicks in Charge. You guys are, I consider you mentors in this space, and it's just an honor to call you guys friends. You're more like family to me. So.
Thank you so
we
much.
love you so much, Donna. We are so blessed to be able to call you a friend as well. And I know that you had some fun yesterday. Tell us about that. You got to spend some one-on-one time with your daughter.
Yeah. So Amber, I actually have three kids. Donnie is 35. Jackie is 33, and then Amber is 23. And Amber is definitely a blessing. She's a special needs child, adult, I should say. She's 23 years old. I got to stop saying that. But she and I are pretty diehard Browns fans, and for many, many years, she and I have went to the home Browns games every single game, all through every season. And yesterday was a game that was one of our rivalry games. It was the Browns versus Steelers. I don't think anybody thought that the Browns were going to win that game, and our starting quarterback went down. So we had a rookie that was his second game ever playing in the NFL, went up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And honestly, the team now is truly playing with heart, and they pulled out a victory at the very end of that game yesterday to kick a field goal with seconds left to win the game. And we were there. And Amber and I, we dress up when it's cold. We dress up as like the full body dog costume. So
that's awesome.
My jersey says big dog, her jersey says little dog. And so we were at the game, and it was exciting, and I share with all my social media family, so people that are following me, they already know what we looked like yesterday.
I love that so
I saw that
much.
picture yesterday, and I didn't even think about the fact that you do it when it's cold. So that's one of my least favorite things about going to games when it's cold is the fact that you're cold. So it's a rather genius idea to do that because it keeps you warm.
Yeah.
And actually, when I first started taking her to the games, that was my, obviously there's times where it's close to 0 degrees, and our stadium is not enclosed. I mean, it's open, and it's right on Lake Erie. So we get lake effect snow, we get the winds, the wind chill factors. And so I don't know why, but it jumped in my mind. I know what it was. I have, if you guys haven't known, I kind of dress up in costumes at different times.
No, not you. We can never recognize you as Batman or the president.
Yes.
Major League.
So yeah, I have an Elmo and Cookie Monster costume, and I had worn one, and I was like, man, this is so hot in here. So I was thinking about that, and I thought, well, if we go to the Browns games when it's cold, what if we put on a costume? So I started looking, and I got her the little Dalmatian costume, and then I have mine, and then I had the jerseys made to say big dog and little dog, and it's exactly what it is. We don't, when it's warm games, we don't wear them. When it's cold, we do. And then I did that. I really did that so to make sure she stayed warm at the games.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit to it is I get to stay warm too, because I don't necessarily like being cold. But those costumes are pretty popular. Like yesterday, walking up to our seats, and I can't even tell you, we probably get photographed 150 times per game. And with all the little kids, they want to get pictures with the big dog and little dog, and the adults too. So it's that part of it makes it fun. And Amber, I can hear her when people stop us to get pictures. I can hear her giggling inside of her costume because it's the little kids are taking pictures with us, and so that part of it's just neat. And we've been photographed high-fiving on national TV more than I can say, which not that there's a lot of things to high-five necessarily in Browns games, but you get a first down. I mean,
right. So whatever's bringing you guys joy, I think that's awesome. I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's a super awesome story. Don, we actually had the idea to interview you at Used Car Week whenever Shasta brought up the idea to interview 22 veterans for the 22 veteran suicides. And as great of an idea as that was, we cut ourselves short on time to be able to do the full 22.
Yes.
But we still wanted to bring you on today. It is still November, and we still want to highlight the amazing veterans that are in the industry, that are in our life, that had the ability to come on with us over the next few weeks until the end of November. So tell us a little bit about your stint in the military. What branch were you in, and how do you think that has helped you in your automotive career?
So I was an Army brat. So my dad actually served 18 years and retired from the U.S. Army. Prior to him, my grandfather also served in the U.S. Army, and he was in World War II. I decided to follow in their footsteps, and I joined in 1987, and I was in from 87 to 97. So I spent 10 years. I'm a U.S. Army combat veteran. I spent some time in Iraq during the first Gulf War. So yeah, dating myself here. But I got out in 97, and then before I tell you how it helped me, but my younger brother, he's 5 years younger than me. I think you might have met him.
Jason.
Used Car Week, Jason. Yeah.
Right.
He's actually about to retire with 30 years in the National Guard. So, and he's full time, and I couldn't be more proud of him. I mean, that's
amazing.
10 years was a long time. 30 years, I couldn't even imagine, but he's going to, luckily for me, he's going to retire, and then he's going to come work with me.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that for him.
So I'm very excited about that. And then even his son is in, and he's a sergeant now in the,
wow.
So
wow, you guys are really just keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very neat. But to answer your question, Jess, I think that 10-year period was probably the most important of my life. And it honestly, I mean, obviously there were some traits that were instilled in me that, obviously I'm never late. In fact, I'm almost always early. My work ethic, I think I can credit a lot of that, not only to my dad and mom, but to the time I served in the military. And there's this discipline. I mean, I'm not as in shape as I was during that 10-year period, but there's a lot of disciplines that were like instilled in me for that time I served. So I'm so blessed and honored to have served that 10 years. And it truly has made me a lot of who I am going forward from the day I got out.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your service, Don.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. And I love the story. I love the family history behind it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad. And really, I lost my dad a year and a half ago, and he was way too young. He died at 71. And
very young.
On Veterans Day, my brother and I actually went to his grave, and we just kind of sat there. In fact, I posted that 3 veterans, spending time together on Veterans Day, and obviously a lot of people have lost their moms and dads, and it's there's not a day that goes by that I don't wish that he was here, that I can call him. Or so if anybody's out there and your parents are still alive, or your grandparents, man, pick up the phone, call them, just say you love them, and if you have time, take them to lunch or dinner. It's just, time goes so fast.
It does.
Wow.
It does. Is that something that you feel, brings you and Jason, and, when your dad was still here, your dad also closer together, sharing that bond between the 3 of you?
Yeah. I mean, I think, everyone, they always say you want to do things so you don't have regret later.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I would tell you that no matter how much time you spend, once they're gone, it wasn't enough. So right. You're always going to have that regret a little bit. But I mean, I think we had a pretty good relationship, all the way around. Again, I always wish there could be more time, and just that one more phone call, one more, conversation. Those are always going to happen. But I mean, my dad, I was working with ShipYourCarNow, and was so proud of me, and before he passed away. And it was after that, now, I mean, I opened up a car dealership, and I mean, I remember when the sign went up on my building, I think I did a live post that said, man, I wish my dad could see this, I wish I can, because so much has happened since he passed away that he's not going to get to, see and enjoy with me. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring this bring the party down. But
it's real life. I mean,
that's why we do this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's so raw and real, and so many people out there, go through the same thing, and it's a part of why we do what we do to make those proud that don't get to see us every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say too, I think it's awesome that you guys are doing this in November for the veterans. That number of 22 veterans that commit suicide every day, I hadn't heard that until, I don't know if you guys know Russ Mann.
Mm-hmm.
Mann this has been a couple years ago now, had tagged me to do 22 push-ups a day for 22 days. And until then, I didn't realize that many veterans were committing suicide every day. And I actually did some research on it, and it's unbelievable, and it's horrifying. I don't even know what to say. And I've actually heard that it's actually more than 22 a day. I still try to do the 22 push-ups a day. I will say I don't do them as faithfully as I did for that 22 days. And actually, I got challenged to do that twice. So I've been through 2 cycles of 22 for 22. And I still occasionally do them just because of that. But I do think about it when I go to the VA clinic, because I'm obviously, I have medical for life, and from being a veteran, and I still walk up to veterans all the time and thank them for their service. And I'll never forget, I went into the VA clinic one day, and there was a younger gentleman. I want to say he was in his mid-20s, and he had lost his arms and his legs in Afghanistan, and he was sitting in his wheelchair. And I was talking to him, and that kid had such a huge excitement for life. And I, when we wake up and, our back hurts a little bit, it's just such a bad day. I'm having a little bit of pain. And I think about that young man. And I remember walking up to the lady when they called me up, and I said, "Can you take him back first?" And she says, "No, we're going to take you back." She says, "You're just as important as he is." But I don't feel like that. I gave him a hug before I went back and thanked him for his service. But you can learn a lot from those people. And then just not even a week ago, I went and I had the honor. I was invited to my granddaughter's school, and I sat and talked to.
I saw that.
And I actually, they had me pick out a book. So they had a stack of books they wanted me to read to this elementary class. And of course, I went there and I handed out Don Brady 100 bills, and
we brought some of those home.
Yeah, I was handing those out to the kids. Were so excited. Can I spend these? And I was handing them just American flag pins. I gave all of the kids that, and of course, the book I picked out was called The Wall. So it was about the Vietnam veterans and the wall that they have that has all the names of the men and women that died in that conflict. And so I'm reading this book to these elementary kids, and at one point I choked up, and I was having trouble getting through a section in front of these kids. And the teacher, I looked at her and I said, "I'm sorry." And she says, "No," she says, it's very reverent. And so anyway, it was just I know that the Vietnam veterans, when they came back, didn't come back to the celebration and the love from the country, and in fact, there was times where people were spitting on them and cursing at them. So whenever, and I challenged the kids that day, if you see someone wearing a hat like what I was wearing, a veteran's hat, I said, someone at a restaurant or at a church or at a grocery store, walk up to them and say, "Thank you for your service," because it means so much, right? Especially if it says Vietnam, right? And the teacher was impressed, and she says, "Can you imagine if these 10 and 11-year-olds walked up and said that, how impressed those servicemen and women would be?" Because it's a 10 or 11-year-old. But I love that the country has turned to where, they say thank you for your service a lot. And it does. It means a lot. I mean, whenever they say it, at first I remember when it first happened, it was like awkward. Like, do I say thank you back? It's almost like to me when I say that, it's like happy birthday, and then you say happy birthday back.
I know.
So I typically just say I was honored to serve whenever, because honestly, I don't know that during that 10 years it was an honor. It was I wanted to do it. Like it was I wanted to do this for my country. Raising my right hand and saying that oath meant a lot to me. But looking back, man, was I honored to serve. And I'm so honored that I serve now. So, everyone out there that says thank you for your service to a veteran, you need to know that it pierces our heart with excitement and an honor. It's just such an honor to hear it. So thank you for what you're doing.
I love that. I don't even know how to follow that.
Well, I had a question, and I don't even know how to transition it. So it's funny. So a lot of the people that we've spoken to, and I know myself included, we all say that we accidentally stumbled into the car business. It's either you were born into it or you just accidentally ended up here and never left. How did that transition happen for you from the military into the car business?
So it's obviously everybody has a weird story, right? I had never been a salesperson, right? So I decided to ETS from the Army, and I was honorably discharged. I was stationed at Fort Rucker, Alabama. I was a civilian police officer in Enterprise, Alabama, which is right there around Fort Rucker. And I made the decision to move back to my hometown of Alliance, Ohio. So I came back here with the full intent of becoming a police officer in my hometown or in the area around my hometown. Anybody that has applied to become a police officer, it's not as quick and easy as what normally, like you don't just fill out the application and say, you're hired, you start Monday. So you've got to get on, obviously you test. I scored really well. Obviously, I was a 10-year U.S. Army veteran. I already had law enforcement experience from another state. So I get on a list, and again, from what I was told, I was like number 1 or number 2 on a very long list. And but they told me it was going to take time to, get to that number where they're going to hire. So I was looking in the one ads, and I see a dealership's hiring for a non-commissioned salesperson, and I went and applied. And I was, at the time, I was a lieutenant working security, so I had literally like the white and black uniform with the clip-on tie and the badge and different things. And I went to my interview at the car dealership like that, and I went through it. It was like 2 or 3 hours of interviews. Like they had me talking to everybody at this dealership, and like literally everybody. And which I actually kind of took that on when I became a general manager. I made sure everybody on the management team interviewed every person, because we're going to be the ones mentoring, coaching, and teaching. So I went through this, and the owner walked into the office after 2 or 3 hours, and he said, "Hey, we want to thank you for your military service. We've all talked. We just don't think you have what it takes to sell cars." So, and I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate that. I was disappointed, but I never sold cars before, so I left. About a week later, I get another phone call from this, not the same store, but within that group, and they said, "We want to come in. We have a different opportunity for you." So I went in, and I went through another 2 or 3 hours at this other store, going through the same thing. And then the brother of the owner that came in, and I still can't believe it, but he came in and he said, "We appreciate your military service and the time you've taken to come in, but we've talked. We just don't think you have what it takes to sell cars." And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, second time, same group, wow. 2 brothers that were both the dealers. So this time though, I was a little frustrated because I had done this now twice, and I probably had 5 or 6 hours invested. And I said, "I'll tell you what. I want to actually thank you guys, because you have made me decide that this is what I want more than anything, is to sell cars. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to your competition down the road. I'm going to start working for them, and I'm going to outsell every salesperson on your floor at both your dealerships." He says, "Can you hold on for a minute?" And I said, "Sure." And I'm sitting there, and he walks out, and he comes back in with his brother, the one that had turned me down at the other store. And they said, "Here's the keys to your demo. You start Monday."
Oh, wow.
So they were just looking for some fire out of you.
Yeah. I guess. And honestly, that I spent 5 years with that auto group, and I call it boot camp. They taught me so much. And it was that was an awesome 5 years for me. And it propelled me to ultimately becoming a a leasing manager, a finance manager, a new car manager, a used car manager, a general sales manager, and then ultimately my last 6 or 7 years was as a general manager in the car business. So 22 years, tremendous career. I learned a lot from, I have so many mentors and friends in the business. And then in January of 2020, I made the decision to take a leap to really unknown, and which has now propelled me now to where I'm sitting today. So,
man, how about that timing? January of 2020.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it was, and you never know what timing means. So January 2020, I resigned, and the dealer couldn't believe it and thought I was going to another dealership. And I said, I'm not. That's when, and I had just got on social media. I was on LinkedIn. I only had 500 connections on LinkedIn, and I had not been on Facebook and never been on Facebook. And I'll never forget this. People have said that I broke the algorithm that day, and I still don't know how, but I did not. I quit without a job. Like, I had no job, but I knew that I was going to go to NADA February of 2020, and I went to the airport. I did not have a room in Vegas. I did not have a ticket to the show. So I truly just bought a ticket. I went to Akron Canton Airport, and I took a selfie, and I posted it on LinkedIn, and I said, "Hi, I'm Don Brady. I'm a former general manager with 22 years in the car business, a 10-year U.S. Army combat veteran, and I am getting on this airplane. I'm flying to Las Vegas for NADA. Don't have a ticket to the show. Don't have a hotel room yet, but I'll get one when I get there. And after that week, I'm going to come back with a job." That was the post that I posted on LinkedIn.
Wow.
With 500 connections. The 4-hour flight, I land, and a friend of mine calls me and he says, "Why does people care that you don't have a job and you flew to Las Vegas?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Don, look at that post. 100,000 people liked and commented on it." Like, and it's weird to me because now when people say I only have 500 connections or friends, there's an algorithm. I mean, depending on I don't know how it happened, but 100,000 out of 500 doesn't make sense. But when a young lady named Marnie McLennan, awesome lady, she gave me a ticket to the show, NADA. And when I went to that show, I went from vendor to vendor to vendor. And I basically said, "I'm looking for a job." I had business cards made up. They had me in my little tuxedo picture, and basically just said who I was. And at the end of that week, I had 138 job offers.
Wow.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Dawn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that was hard. So I laid all the business cards out on the bed in the hotel, and I'm trying to narrow it down. Where am I going to work? I mean, what am I going to do? And I ended up narrowing it down to 10, and then I narrowed it down to 5. And that sounds like all that happened very quickly. It was a very hard process to figure out.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So I narrowed it down to 5, one of which was ShipYourCarNow. And I made the decision that day to form Don Brady Consulting, Inc., and I was going to rep all 5 of those companies. So I bought a van. I put them on my van, all 5 of those companies. And I went to the very first dealership, and I went in there and I presented this all to him. And it was a guy that knew me, and he knew all about me. He's local. And I presented these 5 things, and he looks at me and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "That was horrible." He says, "Don, you need to go back to the dealership. I don't care what you do, general sales manager, general manager, salesperson." He says, "If this is what you're planning to do with the rest of your employment or career," he says, "you're going to fail." He says, "It was not good." I'm like, "Oh, well, how about punching someone in the face?" So I thought about it. He says, "When you believe in something, nobody can stop you." He says, "You need to pick one company and rep that one company. You seem like the guy with the jacket with all the watches and bracelets." Yeah. And I didn't know, but that's probably how it came out. I mean, I hit him with so much stuff, and the GMs are busy. They don't want to hear all this stuff. So I made the decision to just concentrate on shipping. And I mean, obviously everybody knows, I think everybody knows that know that I ship cars. I say it a few times here and there on social media.
Okay. I think your hat says it too.
It does.
It does. Yep.
Yes, cars. Okay, so but why? Why ship your car now? Out of all of that 100 plus
I was curious too.
options that you had, why did they
So
want?
the quick answer is the owner and CEO and founder of ShipYourCarNow, Gavin Keston. He's a family man. He's just a great person. He he was so excited about me and being a part of his team. Um, so I gotta give him the most credit for it. And then it was, I just, I don't know. I made that decision, and then not knowing that in a month or so later that the world was going to shut down because of the pandemic, and then I was stuck at home, and I hadn't been to even a show with Ship Your Car Now yet. So I learned a lot just sitting in front of my computer, and that was the day that I decided that I was going full bore on social media. At that time I had 500 connections, and I said that earlier. Well, now, fast forward to today, which is still under 4 years, 3.5 years. I've got 40,000 followers nationwide on social media, and a lot of people think people that are on social media know it's not easy to go from 500 to 40,000 in 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people come up to me and say, "How did you do that?" And to be honest with you, I don't know. I would say that I'm very blessed, but the only thing I can say is it looks like from the surface that the duck is floating, and everybody knows that that's what's happening underneath. And that's what I've done for 3.5+ years.
That's felt on a
heavy
level for sure. Yeah. We know how that feels.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Well, and again, you guys are awesome. I mean, there's, I don't know if you know just how well respected you guys are in the automotive industry, but I've had a lot of conversations about you guys, not bad conversations, all awesome.
I hope not.
Yeah, and actually, and it's not always me bringing you up; it's other people. But it's when I say that I'm honored to be on your show, I'm a big fan of of both of you, and I root for you guys every day. So, and not just on the business side, I've been honored to be friends with you on Facebook, and I see you guys on the family side too, and how important that is. And it shines through from both of you guys. It's almost like you guys glow from what you're doing in life, business.
Thank you so much, Don. That means so much to us. And I mean, I can tell you from conversations that she and I both had before we started the show is like, are people going to be receptive to us? Are we going to be looked at as competition, or are people going to welcome us in with open arms and say, "Oh my gosh, we love what you're doing"? And I think that the reaction that we've gotten from everybody and the amazing amount of support has been overwhelming at times, but also it showed us that the whole reason why we started doing this was for the right reasons. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Yeah. I would not go back in time if I could.
Well, and the most important part of this, and there was a time where we almost got lost, forgetting our reason for doing this, is there's so many women at dealerships around the country, and so many young people, so many people in general at dealerships around the country that don't have the opportunity to do the things that the three of us do, which is to go meet amazing people like each other at conferences. Or to even know how to do it on social media like we've all done.
Right. Or even know about the conferences. Think about Don's story as to where, had he not gotten on that plane just to go to NADA because he just knew it was a thing, so many people don't even know it's a thing.
Exactly. So those people who don't know what they don't know, we want to find a way to bring that to them, bring the amazing people that we have met to them, teach them the softwares that are out there, the new technologies that are out there, the amazing people that are out there, and find a way to get them integrated with these events, with these amazing groups, the women in automotives, the ASOTUs, the people that are truly trying to bring this industry together for the better. People like you, people like Bobby Heron, people like Subi Ghosh, the people that are truly trying to make a change in this industry and find a way to really just push everybody forward.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree. And as far as it's amazing how many people I actually hired through my career that were a young lady that was a server at a restaurant, or a young man that was selling cell phones that I happened to be there, or a young man at Best Buy that I was looking at TVs and was talking to him about what he did. Stumbling, this shouldn't be a business. The car business should not be a business that we just stumble into. Or, I mean, I know of so many people that their businesses failed and they ended up stuck in the car business, which is, I love this business. Like, it's, to me, and it pays really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've watched young women and young men that have come in that were not doing poorly as far as their income, but watch them triple and quadruple their income
right
in the business. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always joked about, and I'm sure you've heard it from other people, but this being the highest paying part-time job on the planet. There's a sadness to that, because we all know this is not part-time, it's long hours.
Oh, yeah.
Never.
But there is still a lot of salespeople out there, even now, that they'll only work 20 hours of the 80 hours that they're at that dealership.
Yep.
So it is a part-time job unless you make it a full-time job. I was telling, I've said this millions of times, work 40 hours and then take your time off and actually work those 40 hours though.
Right.
If you're going to go and sit around and play video games and figure out, during breakfast what you're going to have for lunch, and figure out during lunch what you're going to have for dinner, and all of a sudden, you spent your 8, 9, 10 hour day there not working, so it's so important, if you're in the business, that you actually go to work.
Absolutely.
Joe Verdi's line. So
right, it's the only way you're going to grow and learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, we see so many dealership employees, salespeople in particular, who just sit there and wait for the up buzz, when the people who are the most successful are the ones who are creating the up buzz for themselves.
Yep.
Right.
And I, what's funny is I don't even know how I made it 22 years in the car business without being on social media. If I again, roll the clock back, I would have done this a long time ago, because it's amazing. I mean, and again, for all 4 years at ShipYourCarNow, I would tell you 95% of my customers come from social media. 95%. The other 5% is some generation. It's referrals. I mean, obviously, and I even credit the repeats and referrals to social media. I mean, and getting to know my vendor family nationwide refer me all the time.
Oh, there's not a week that goes by that one of us doesn't get a lead from one of our socials. I mean, at all times, there's one of us saying, "Oh, hey, just got this lead from LinkedIn. Oh, hey, just got this lead from Clubhouse, from Facebook, whatever." So
I had a Clubhouse one last week.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's actually amazing. I mean, I've even had, and I won't ever publicly draw them out, but I've had some of my competitors refer their family to me. That's a little weird. They don't want their people to move them, the cars. They want me to move it, and that's an honor. It's crazy. I don't know that their superiors would be thrilled with it, but they're like, "Hey, this is my mom. I want to take care of her." So that means a lot to
Yeah, that's wild. That's like, hey, you want to come work here too?
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Don, where can people that are listening right now, where can they reach you at?
Well, obviously they can find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I always, my personal cell phone, I always share it. I mean, I remember, I think LinkedIn would say, like in the beginning, would say, "You sure you want to put your personal number on there?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I have to override it. But
right.
Yeah, they can call me or text me at 330-581-5247. I share it publicly, and even if someone just wants to bounce ideas off me, if you're having trouble closing a deal at the dealership, I mean, I'm if you follow me on social media, I'm pretty open. I'm an open book, so they know. But they can email me at donbrady@shipyourcarnow.com. And in May of this year, I opened up my own small dealership. In fact, I'm in the office at my dealership.
Oh, we didn't even get to talk about that.
It's already, wow, that's crazy. But I'm so excited for you, because you have done so much this year, from opening your own dealership, and now you're starting to do your van rentals. It's amazing how much you have just exploded in 2023.
And we see you at every conference.
Every
still find
conference.
time to be at every conference.
I try my best. Traveling, I heard you guys say you've been traveling extensively. I too just got back from a 3 straight week whirlwind of traveling.
Yeah.
I ran an election and I got elected as America's Choice for Auto Shipper.
You did.
There's nobody else.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny because I ran unopposed. But
you did?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
awesome.
I made up the whole election. It was me. So I did it as a marketing thing, which was kind of funny because I had one of the competitors got really mad and said, "I don't think it's fair. How can you be America's Choice?" And I said, "You didn't get your paperwork in time." I'm like, sorry.
That's great.
What was really humbling for me is that I truly got 1.5 million votes in 3 weeks. 1.5 million votes. So that's a lot of votes.
It is.
So it's so now it's literally on my list of credentials on LinkedIn as America's Choice for Auto Shipper. So it's there. There's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, so I opened up my dealership here May of 2023 this year. So, and my plan was to be a hobby, 3 or 4 cars. Then it grew to 15, and then 20, and then 25, and 35. Now I have a goal of getting to 100 for tax time, and sell some cars and truly help people in that realm too. And I get to do it. I love the feeling of I'll take it, so I get to do that too. In addition to,
I love that. If you hit 100 cars in tax time, because she and I will forget, but if you can remember to text us and let us know, you have to do that because I want to shout you out and congratulate you because that's amazing. I love that so much.
Thank you. It's a big goal, so we'll see.
That's huge. That's awesome. I love that.
And I bet you also ship. Can you ship around the country?
Yeah, well, people can buy my cars from anywhere in the United States, and I have everything from a $1,500 Hyundai all the way up to a Maserati. So I mean, it's a big brand, a lot of different types of cars. And yeah, if someone from out of state wants to buy a car, I do know a guy that can ship it, so I can do that too. I shipped the Jaguar to New Mexico not that long ago. So
wow. Okay. All right.
Awesome. Don, it has been so amazing getting to talk to you today. It was awesome getting to catch up. I love getting to catch up with you at Used Car Week. Are we going to get to see you at NADA?
I'll be there. I'm not sure what I'll be wearing, but we'll see.
Oh, you haven't figured it out yet?
I've got some ideas. So
it's election year again, so
it's in February though. Maybe he should be Cupid.
Ooh,
matchmaking.
I like that.
I'm not sure how I would look in a diaper.
It would be funny. It would be
funny. But we'll see. I don't usually just come normal, but we'll see. Maybe I'll come normal this time. We'll see.
Oh, how funny.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of ideas.
I know. I'm like, what can we do in February? Yeah. You got 2 marketing brains here. We'll think of something. We'll start shooting you random ideas.
You guys are awesome at marketing too. So.
Oh man.
All right. Well, without further ado, we will go ahead and wrap it up and see if I can get it right this time because I haven't on the last 2. I've messed up the tagline. So in a world where you can be anything, remember to be kind. And whenever you go out into the world this week, you never know what battle somebody else is facing. So remember to light it up. I am Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And this is Dawn. And we've been the Chicks in Charge. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.